Nick Ferrick. I think I did that right.
You
Steve.
did that right. I think you did, John.
All right. Well, welcome everyone, and welcome, Steve. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, absolute pleasure. It's good to actually see you. We only ever talk over Instagram, but to see you is a good first step to meeting you in person properly.
Yes, thank you. It's good to be seen, and I mean, we're here with you. The man, the myth, the hair game legend.
It's getting real mullety. Look at that, mullet's growing.
Oh man, we're gonna go into it a little bit on your Instagram, but that Thunder post you had, the Thundercats post. If anyone needs a lift me up, just watch that video.
You tell I was bored.
Such great stuff.
Bored and narcissistic.
So hey, thank you for joining us. It's a great honor, and I know it's during the holiday season, so I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to meet with us fans and us collectors. So thank you.
Hey, anytime. Keeps me away from my kids and my family, who I love dearly. So if you're watching, I love you, but I do need some time away.
I'm sure they could use some too, right?
I'm sure they can as well. Yeah.
So today, as people may have seen, we're going to talk a bit beyond the toys, and part of that is enjoying the book of Mr. Stevie. Right?
Don't you wish you should have named it that? That was cool.
I know. I planned it on today, and I wasn't even thinking. And if I can, really quick, I do need to share a little something, and then we'll say hello to everybody.
I was like, John's put this interview on like a very slow news day, and I was like, no, he hasn't. Everyone has Boba Fett. Everyone will be watching the Book of Boba, and then no one will want to listen to Old Man Steve, but that's all right. Yeah.
Oh man. So this was just brilliant. And I know you obviously are a graphic designer by trade, right? Originally.
I am. And you can see I spent at least 12 minutes on that. High post-production values for certain. But yeah, so no, it's nice to see a new series come out, and it's exciting to wake up. First thing you do, you wake up, yawn, grab your phone, and go, "What's going on?" And like everything's like Boba Fett. No spoilers. The story without context, things like that. So it's nice to wake up with a new Star Wars series for certain.
Yeah. My wife was like, "Did you already watch it?" And I was like, "Oh man, I got to go watch it." So, we were able to put it on in the morning, and we watched it together. And what were your first impressions, if we can get into that?
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it. The first ones I always find are either like, oh my God, mind blowing, or this one had a lot of exposition. I feel it's like, okay, how did he get out? I was surprised to see a stormtrooper. Oh, I mustn't talk about spoilers. How did he get out? And where has he traveled to where he is now? So I actually like the way they handle the exposition pretty nicely, and it has that same tonality that Favreau's brought with, Mandalorian. So you can tell they're brothers in terms of tonality and the way it's shot, and I think they use the same technology as well. But I mean, everyone loves Tim, and to have those classic characters back, I think is really cool. And hats off to, it was I can never say his surname. It was Robert Rodriguez, who directed the first one. Sorry, Robert. Yeah, but they do a really good job of balancing kind of new and fresh and harking back, and this old and new kind of fusion together is really cool. Where people our age, I don't know how old you are, John, but our age and the kind of younger age can kind of get into it. So I think they've hit this sweet spot with Mando and Boba, and I'm sure with the rest as they come in, the other series that they're working on, to get this sort of like generational soup together of like old farts like us and new people as well. So it's a smart move, I think, and it's highly enjoyable.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to the barge. But I will say, you're right, because my youngest, my 7, I think she was 6 at the time. She's now 8, but she fell in love with Grogu and all of that, and of course the barge as well. That got her into Return of the Jedi. We'll get to that after, but the Mandalorian definitely brought her on board, and I get to enjoy Star Wars with her as well. So that's
the best way. Best way to enjoy it with someone. It's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I was going to say it was pretty cool to see Jabba's palace again, right?
It was.
And
I like the throne with the little Rancor head, and that's kind of cool.
yeah, and
Cool.
they had a shot of the alcoves and around the throne with the rotisserie in the background again, and just like you're saying, it brings you back to the old. But then there's obviously scenes that we're seeing that are very new with some new characters. Um, I think we had a lot of our typical old aliens, right? Your Biths and your I don't know what Droopy McCool was, but I was thinking of Figure and Dan. You
Yeah.
had your Rhodians, you had your Aqualish, your Trandoshans, your Twi'leks. You had them all. So
And you obviously had a little bit of Zuvio there popped in for good measure. Whether it
oh,
was
did
him or not. Yeah, and I kill myself. I don't even know what the alien is. Someone tell me. But yeah, whether it's Zuvio or not, but I like to believe that he is with us. I'd say they're gonna give him a main part soon, I'm sure. Please.
absolutely. I gotta go back and check that out if I missed that. But looks like we got some people starting to trickle in here.
Cool.
So let's just see here who we have. We have nice. Well, hello, Christina. Good to have you here.
Christina.
So yeah, please in the
Trevor.
chat, please say hello if you're on here, and say hello to Steve.
Hey, some names I recognize there. Trevor, how you doing? Cool.
Nice, Kevin. We got the Instagram guys here, SWTVC. They're pumping out a lot of great content these days.
Fabulous.
Oh, nice, our fellow pleb, right?
I got on my pleb, got my little pleb badge. You got your pleb badges, everybody. Good.
Yeah, yeah. Mine's up on my my cabinet there. Um, we got Zulu was a blink and you miss him. Oh man, I need to.
No,
I'm gonna have to watch it a
even
third time.
even 1 second, Nick, and he fills your brain for eternity with joyous wonder and the possibilities of. That was a cool design, I have to say. That was one of the first things when I worked on Force Awakens, and we got all the asset packs and all the concept sketches come in. I remember Zuvio was one of the first we saw. It was certainly the first new alien I saw, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool with the bembo hat and everything." I was like, "Who's this guy?" And it's like, Constable Zuvio, keeping the scum in order on, off outer rim planets and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, he's wicked. I like him. This is great." But then he had like 0.2 of a second screen time, but I'm sure there was more destined for him. And I still like to believe, Nick, that he will return.
Darn editors, damn it. Who else we got here? Jobless Punk. Hey there. All right. We got Tim Bainbridge. Hello, hello.
We got someone from New Zealand. Phil Wheeler from New Zealand. Why am I looking? I don't have a watch. Why do I look at my watch? It's the time. What's the time in New Zealand, Phil?
I don't know. I usually ask Siri, and it's like 15 hours ahead.
Oh, it's 15. It's not so bad. I always get it with the UK and New Zealand. I always think they're 12 hours, but I was going to say it's not 4 in the morning. Otherwise, Phil is a committed person.
Oh, here we go. That's what you're Phil Wheeler. There you go. We got Dez. Hello there. We got another pleb here.
Hey,
Evan on.
Yep. Number 1 pleb.
That's right. Number 1 OG pleb. And we got one of my admins of the Vintage Collection page, Augustine. What's up, buddy? Good to see you on here.
No, I've been calling him Augustine. Now I feel really bad. Is it Augustine?
I think it's Augustine.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong,
I know he's told me how to pronounce his surname, but anyway.
And you guys have met in person before, right? So he goes to a lot of different cons.
Have we?
Could be wrong.
Probably. I feel really bad now.
I'm just making an assumption. I know Augustine goes to like San Diego Comic. He goes to all.
I'm sure we have.
Awesome. Well, great to have. Oh, Phil let us know it's 10 a.m. in New Zealand.
Oh, well, you don't get any of my sympathy now, Phil. You've had a chance to have your Weetabix and get ready, so that's cool. Nice to see you.
Yeah, so I know Tim's talking about the creature was very Clash of the Titans, stop motion-esque. So yeah, we'll just say there was all sorts of good setup to how
I have to keep talking.
yeah how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc, took over.
Definitely need him. I need my Perseus to kind of defend me against what I watched today.
There you go. But yeah, so it was filled with all sorts of you know, aliens backstory, some creatures, some Tuskens, of course, all sorts of good stuff, and then a pretty interesting creature there, which it's always great to see new creatures in the Star Wars world and how they can make them unique without taking too much inspiration from something else, which has got to be very hard.
I'm sure that was it's Harryhausen, wasn't it? Was that Clash of the Titans? Must have been that stop animation guy, King Kong. It was probably a homage to Harryhausen. There's a lot of H's there. Homage to Harryhausen. Yeah, that's cool. But yes, Tim, you were right.
Nice. So yeah, so great. So obviously, Steve, right now you are the director of design and development at Marvel. You've been doing that for the past couple of years, correct?
Yes, I have. Yeah, it's coming up to 2 years in February, I believe, or March. Actually, I started on March the 2nd, my birthday. So yeah, little ways to go.
Nice. And you were with the Star Wars team for about 5 years, right?
That's right. Yeah, that was my dream job. That was the thing I aimed for when I was a little baby. And yeah, so yeah, good times, very good times.
Yeah, and most of our conversation today is really talking about you as a collector, and obviously your presence in the community has just been it's just been a breath of fresh air, I think, for everybody to be able to engage with someone in the industry that I know most of you that are there, that I've talked with some other Hasbro folks, that you guys are all collectors of many different things, so it's nice to be able to see someone who actually interacts with the community and then also shares their own passion, and their various your various collectibles and toys, and obviously, like we've talked a lot about, is it's given us so much more than just the toys. So
100%. I think it's not I'm kind of, thank you for your kind words anyway. First of all, it's somewhat embarrassing because I don't see it like that. I don't see it as if I'm gracing you with my presence. It's like I get out more than I put in, for sure. So it's the community, whether it's live in person at San Diego or online through Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is for me, like having mates around just to talk about the geeky stuff. Because I moved my family 3,000 miles 10 years ago to come over here. I have some friends. I don't have many friends. I'm not a big kind of super social person, but I have my friends. But they're all my geek friends, like back in England. So like you're all my adoptive mates. I just want to talk about stuff because my kids and my wife probably aren't that interested in all this stuff behind me. So anyone I can talk to about that and collecting and finding and reminiscing about being younger and TV shows and movies and stuff is an elixir for my life. I need it. So yeah. So no, I appreciate everyone else talking to me or listening to me, and it's been brilliant, especially over the last couple of years. It's been tough for a lot of people. This has been my rock.
It's definitely accelerated that aspect of it and allowed us to connect even more with everybody. So it's just interesting what you find a benefit in something tragic happening.
Yeah, and even this, what we're doing, it's like 5 years ago when I was on the Star Wars team, like this would only be organized to through an official an official media outlet would interview, and it'd be an interview, and you would get lights and makeup, and it'd all be very. Whereas now it's just like, you want to come on? Yeah, you calling me going on? Yeah, okay. We're just gonna, and it's just chatting. It's just, what did I say? Chewing the fat.
Chewing the fat. Yeah.
The chewing the fat works over here in America, but it's in the English people will get it. So it's great. I love it. Any chance. So you don't have to thank me at all. I should really be thanking you. So.
Oh, that's too kind. Yeah, and talk to us a little bit about those of us that know you on social know, you know, we see your tall toy tales, and I
Oh,
said
you've
that
been
right.
practicing that clearly.
I thought I'd screw that up. Yeah. Uh, and it's great because you kind of you talk about your various you know, all the various things in your collection, the memories you have with either the movies, the TV shows, what you used to do with those toys as a kid, and how you played with them. So can you talk to us just a little bit about your focuses and what?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's real simple. I mean, originally I was always a Star Wars kid. So like, where are we? We're this way. No, this way. So all my Star Wars things. So actually, I can put this into. Let me see if I can put this into focus. Okay, a little bit more. I'll go out of focus. So it was always Star Wars. So I had Star Wars. I played with Star Wars. I started collecting Star Wars again when I was like 16, 17. When I was at university in Brighton from 92, 95. I had my own Star Wars business, Moss Eisley Imports. I've got a business card somewhere still where I bought and sold figures, vehicles, everything, usual kind of stuff. And I sold, it was through trade catalogs. I think it was called like Toy and Train Hobbyist or something in the UK. And you'd put an advert, Star Wars figures for sale. And people would write to you or ring you and say, can I have your list? And you'd post them your list of all the figures you had. Then they'd ring you up and go, oh, have you got Luke Skywalker still? Oh, it's £8. Okay, I'll take that. You'd cross it off and they'd post you a check. And then you'd post them. It like took 6 weeks to do a transaction, whereas now it's like instant on eBay. But so I started with that, and that's all I had for a long time. You know, I had the vehicles, but I sold them all. And then as I came over here, you know, I obviously got the job at Hasbro, so I had toys in my office, 500, 600 toys in my office. But at home, I didn't have that many. And then as you get older, you start kind of getting more reminiscent and wistful about the old days. And my kids were kind of growing up, and we moved over here. They were like 3 and 7, and so I started like finding stuff from when I was young. So I had my Star Wars stuff. You know, I found my Superman stuff. I had this lunchbox here.
Yeah.
You know, and the old kind of sort of 8-inch or 10-inch kind of figure, and some of the superpowered stuff that I kind of had like lollipop sticks that I used to eat at my grandmother's house. So I started collecting all my old toys or things that I'll come back in focus, or things that made my childhood. And I literally started creating these memory boxes. So each one of these wonderful Dettol things are little pockets. So I have like an 80s one, a 70s one. I have my Batman and Ghostbusters. I have my Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So just basic terms, I would collect what I had, and rediscovering or re-remembering. Can you re-remember? I'm not sure, but I would go, what was that? Oh, what was that soccer game I used to have that was electronic and it used to play when the Saints come marching in? And I would jump online and research it, and then I'd find out. I'm just going to grab it, you know, and I'd go, it was Jimmy. I used to have Jimmy. So then you go onto eBay and you start trying to find this stupid thing, and then you find it, and then you buy it either for a lot or for a little. You just start rebuilding your childhood. And so when I come down here, if I need to decompress or think about things, or I just come down and look at I can chart from the age of 2 up until now. That's just the way I collect. So, you know, I collect the things that I had, and they all have a memory and they all have a story, which is what got me into the tall toy tales, where I was bored. I wanted a creative outlet. So I was like, I'll just start filming and talking about this, because Instagram, everyone's doing it. And I was like, yeah, why not? So
yeah, it's great, man. It's great to again, I love that whole, you know, just connecting you back to those memories. It's almost like a photograph, right? Where the toy is like that photograph, and it brings you back to those memories you had, and you know, makes you appreciate too, right? The people who had pleasure in giving you that stuff, whether it was your family, you know, or a relative, whatever, your parents. You know, I still had my mom, you know, diving into bins at Toys R Us to dig out, you know, a Darth Maul for me back in like 1999, you know, and I still have one of them carded from when she brought for me, and it's priceless to me.
Yeah.
And that's a memory I'll always have, that, you know, this was something my mom brought her adult son.
Well, that's cool. I always remember my mum when I used to ask for toys when I was older, like mid-20s. She'd go, "I'm not buying you toys, Stephen. That's a silly thing to do.
I heard that in your toy.
You earn enough money, you can buy your own. I'm not buying them." And I was like, oh. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I've got my probably my Playmobil stuff is probably in terms of my father who passed away. He's been dead now like 8 years, but you don't forget. But like there are little pockets where I go, oh, I remember my dad. I came home from school, and my dad had taken this polystyrene insert from a stereo or something. I don't know what it was, but he'd carved out a castle. Like, bless him. He was a wonderful chef and very creative with food. Couldn't do any DIY, could do nothing. It was awful. It was like a terrible castle. It's rubbish. But I remember coming home and my dad had put all my figures, all my Playmobil figures out, and I was like, it was like the best thing ever that had ever been made. And so when I found those, I was like, oh my God, that's like my dad. So yeah, it's a way of encapsulating those memories. And I don't know about you, but I find when I see those things, you obviously get the memories, but I often get the smell. I don't know about you, but I get like a trigger that's like, I get a taste in my mouth, and I'm getting it now, taste in my mouth and my nose that takes me back to 1978 or something like that, and the smell of the carpet or my dad had a restaurant, so it's like always cooked onions was for me, like in my house. My mum and dad always fried onions, so I'm getting those sort of smells. So anyway, memories are brilliant. But
my dad was a restaurateur as well, and it was usually seafood that we smelled when he came up. Oh, lobster again, huh, Dad? But and you speak to finding some of these toys. I'm always so envious of people who still had their toys as a child. I didn't have that luxury, but I think I shared with you a while back that back in 2000, I went to visit my grandparents and uncles in England, in Harlow, Essex.
Oh yes,
and I went to a bunch of like flea markets and car boots.
Yeah,
they call them out there.
Yeah, car boots.
And I brought some toys from the UK back across the pond home to the States. So you had mentioned we might have been, bumping out.
We probably were. I used to live in Old Harlow, which is literally just down the road, where my first job was at a place called Cartel International, which ran the Athena store. So anyone in the UK would remember these Athena stores that they sold posters. So my first job was as a graphic designer, was designing posters and greetings cards and calendars, and we would work with films and 20th Century Fox and the Muppets and things like that. So that was always good fun. Yeah, I was in Old Harlow, and so we probably did barge each other to pick up a burrata for 10p or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I brought home some He-Man for a good friend, some Thundercat stuff, and a bunch of Star Wars at one point. But it's and that's fun in itself, right? Just whether you do the whole eBay thing, but when you're at a convention or a con,
you can't beat finding one,
or a flea market, and you're sifting through stuff and you find something and it connects you right there. And
it is cool. I mean, I miss it a little bit. Well, I collect the old Kenner stuff, so I'm sure if you go to flea markets or boot sales now, you're getting you're probably picking up, I would say, sort of Clone Wars 2008 stuff, but like everyone knows that Kenner Star Wars is valuable now, so you kind of don't find those bargains. And then when I said burrata for 10p, that's what I paid for my burrata that I have in there, and he is pristine. And it's like 10 pence, which is like 7 cents. Right, you don't find that so much anymore, but there's still a thrill, even if it's on these sort of online bidding things. There's still a thrill as it ticks down and you're putting in, and I love it. I love the hunt. The hunt's, I think, very important. I understand that you've got to be able to hunt and find. There's no point hunting and not finding. That's the difficulty. It's scarcity, but without impossibility, which is always it was always tricky. But yeah, I miss going around the boot sales, the booties.
Oh man. Yeah, man, that was a good time with my grandmother. She got a thrill out of the bargain. Bring toys to work. This is another pleb, right?
Yes. Hey, Michael. Nice to see you, mate. Bring toys to work. Yeah. Does a great job setting up toys and dioramas at work. I believe. I don't know, Michael, if it's always at your work or whether you go in different places, but I love the stuff he does. Brilliant. Super infectious. Very positive.
So I got to see here. Let me see if I can do this right again. I don't know if the volume's going to work, but man, this is speaking of Thundercats. I mean, this was,
I don't
this,
like this. You have access
this
to
was,
it.
oh,
Thunder! Thundercats! Ho! Thunder! 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 Thundercats! Ho!
this,
And no,
I don't know if you guys,
and no, Hasbro have not got the Thundercats license. I know. As I did that, and someone put that down, I was like, "Oh no, I'm going to get into trouble." But no, yeah.
I feel like if there's like an Emmy or an Oscar award for Instagram, that
the
that should be a nomination.
mucking around, I would definitely win it.
And Steve, I mean, talk a little bit now. Obviously, being a collector and collecting a lot of the things you grew up with, and obviously, I know you're into not just the stuff you grew up collecting, but you collect some pretty cool custom pieces and stuff like that. I think that people have either gifted to you or you've seeked out.
Well, it's funny because I got a few custom pieces. You know, I've got like where is it? I'll grab it. But it's based on my frustration as a child. So it does harken back. I think it's one of the things you're talking about. So Chris, I've got to get this in focus. So like there was this guy, Chris, I think it's Chris Kingogram on Instagram. Chris, I'm sorry if I've got your handle wrong, my friend, but he was making like a Kenner-esque Christopher Reeve line, and I was like, I got to have that. So like he did me one. I got one of my friends to paint it up this way, to paint it up. So it's like I remember as a kid, I loved Superman. I remember jumping on the train with my mum and dad from where do we live? We lived in Eltham, so it's in Kent, and we went into London to Leicester Square to watch Superman the movie. And I loved Superman, but I always got really upset because there weren't any toys. There weren't any action figures of Superman or Superman 2. No, we had obviously superpowers, but that was that was 84, much later. But I got the big dolls, like Mego kind of dolls. But I was like, where's the figures? So Chris started making them, which I thought was really cool. So I kind of connect with people and they send me stuff, or they do badges and patches with like back the barge and things like that. And again, it's this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like this two-way street within the community. I say things, I try and kind of promote some people, and they send me stuff, and it's like our own car boot sale. It's like our own swap meet, our own flea market of just ideas and talents. There's some incredibly talented people out there, whether they're toy photographers or customizers. And I've been talking about it last night, I think, on my Instagram about customizations. Like, I want to learn that. I just want to I want to be better at it because. I'd love to be able to kind of injection mold something and paint something and kind of create something. I've got some ideas about what I do, and I do those silly little Photoshop Kenner comic colors of old figures, and I'm like, but I do it on Photoshop. I actually want something in my hand, so I'm going to learn that this year. I think that's going to be my
thing. There's some amazing stuff going on in the community with people taking the ZBrush. Mm-hmm. And they're actually designing stuff digitally, which I know Hasbro's doing now, obviously. And then they got 3D printers right there, and they're printing stuff out and kind of making some of their own, whether it's accessories or some folks are actually making full-fledged figures.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
I like it when people sort of create like a particular, they carve out a niche for themselves, like Empire Toy Works. Empire Toy Works has like a whole world, like
for sure.
It's like a Blade Runner-esque. I can hear the Vangelis music kind of around it, but he brings in all the different brands and figures and puts them together in a cohesive world where you kind of go, they're in the same world. It's just brilliant. Just brilliant.
Absolutely beautiful. Some of those people that are doing some really ornate dioramas and scenes, and that's pretty amazing.
There's some serious talent out there, and it's and I've said this before, mostly about the toy photographers, is that it warms my heart to see the progress from like hobby into art form into profession. You know, I like it that people are like making livings, starting to make livings out of these things, whether it's they're selling stuff on you know, online sites, or whether they're being paid to be photographers. And, you know, so I like that. I think that's really healthy.
I think that's awesome too, man. I think someone recently in our community became a photographer for Hasbro. So I really give, that's just awesome, where your passion and your niche in the hobby becomes a true profession for you. It's
cool.
quite amazing. So he's asking, does this mean we might expect a Steve customizing documentary series?
Depends on what I do. We'll see. I used to paint Citadel miniatures in like 1987. But I thought I was pretty good at that, getting it small. But I haven't. I'm not. You know, you said I was toy designer, and I was thinking about that, and I was like, I'm not. Am I a toy designer? I don't know whether I am, because it's like I can't use ZBrush. You know, I understand play, and I understand how manufacturing works, and so I kind of use the analogy of like being a conductor. I'm a conductor. I don't play an instrument, but I can get people who can play instruments to play together to make something that is kind of hopefully cohesive and meaningful. But if you put an instrument in my hand, I couldn't play it. So Michael, we'll see. Maybe it'll be a documentary series on how bad I am and how I progress to like a lower level or mid-level. But I'll give it a go. Like, if you don't give it a go, you'll never know. So, and you know, there's a lot of people yesterday were encouraging me. It's just like, just give it a go. Don't worry if you screw it up. It doesn't matter. It's the fun of it. So, definitely doing that.
Yeah, I can say I've done some kit bashing, and I've definitely joined a couple of customizing Facebook pages, and follow some people on Instagram that I think some of them were suggested to you in your post. But you know, one I did recently was blue skirt. I think he's called, or Window Weekway.
Window Weekway.
Yeah, you know, so I think I took 3 different TVC figures and kit bashed them together, and then I went to Joann Fabrics. And wouldn't you know,
Joann Fabrics.
And wouldn't you know, the woman helping me had Star Wars tattoos and everything.
Right.
I was like,
that's cool.
I think I'm in the right place, and she helped me find a.
So I think that's what I'll start kit bashing and.
Yeah, and then painting them with acrylic paints and stuff, and
cool.
all the different.
What if I? Oh yeah, I don't.
Dry brushing techniques and all the techniques you pick up from people with.
Do you remember the old Citadel paints? Because like people were recommending Citadel, and I've still got like the old 1987 Citadel paint.
Collect those.
And I even got like, hang on, is that going to open? No. Come on, one of you open. This is live TV. Oh, the smell of the Citadel paints, and it's still wet in there. So I love the old Citadel rotting flesh, enchanted blue. So, but maybe I'll buy some new paints to paint my customs next year. But I don't know.
And you know, speaking, Steve, about you being like the conductor there, and we're talking about, you know, being a collector and bringing joy through, obviously being that conductor. What does it mean to you to be able to create joy for people with toys, and then create these connections that people have with?
Well, it's humbling, because when you think, it's weird, because you think about it, you kind of go, I'm not changing lives. Like, none of us are changing lives, and not, you know, but we're creating things that hopefully will mean something to people, and they can connect with other people about it. So it's all about connections. I'm very interested in generations personally. So this toys and things like that mean a lot to me when they get passed down. So when I'm at San Diego or anywhere, and we have families come in, and you've got maybe 2 or 3 generations that come in, and they all love Star Wars, or they're all dressed up as, you know, Rebels crew or something like that. That is the moment where I go, I am really into something here that I love, and I can see that I'm part of something that affects them. You know, it's very small, but some of the parts make something meaningful. So it's really important to me, and it's, you know, I wasn't lying where it was my boyhood dream to be working on Star Wars. And, you know, when I joined Hasbro in '99, look at that. When I joined Star Wars in '99, it was because The Phantom Menace was coming out, and I was buying and selling Star Wars. And I went to I remember saying to myself, I'm going to work for Hasbro. I'm going to work for them. I don't know how, but I'm going to, because I want to get free figures of the new movies. Because I was like, I saw the staff and I was like, I'm going to get that and all this other stuff. So I joined in June. June 1st, 1999. And so it's really important to me. It's what keeps me. I've been at Hasbro 22 years now. It's what keeps me getting up in the morning, knowing that I'm working on brands that mean something to people of all generations within families. It's this multi-generational stuff. It's nothing better. I mean, there's nothing better. I mean, is it perfect all the time? Am I living like a Tom Hanks big? No, it's it's stressful and you get disappointed and you do things and they work and you do things and they fail. But at the end of the day, we all work on things we love, and doing toys it ain't too bad.
That's pretty amazing. And this is obviously a picture I've shared with you. This is me and my daughter, who I was speaking to earlier.
Oh.
And this is a good kind of segue that she was at a great age when the barge came in, and she fell in love with the barge and got fascinated with the figures and the barge, and she got really into Return of the Jedi, and she'd want to always watch Return of the Jedi. It was usually only the first 40 minutes. I won't fault her for that, but I have you guys, the Hasbro team that created that, a huge thank you for allowing me to connect with one of my kids with something I love, excuse me. And so I know what you're saying.
Thanks for backing it, man. It's like, again, it's two-way street. Couldn't have done it without you. So that's great. So, that's cool.
And that's good. And she's so smart with everything. I'll say, well, who's that? Oh, that's Han when he was in Carbonite, and you're just like, wow, you're really good with this, man. You remember this stuff so much better than I wish I had your memory. Like the memory of a child, right? They don't forget anything.
Oh, they don't. Not when it means that they get something.
and that's just a good segue into just talking again about the first HasLab, right?
Why not?
Hasbro's crowdfunding, is that what it's called?
Where is it? There she is. Yeah. So HasLab is there. She is. Look at you got yours decked out. I got mine signed though. Mine's like one of a kind. I have goodness knows how that would go for. Not that I will ever sell it. You will never see that on eBay. If you do, I'm dead, and my kids need.
You know whose it is.
But the barge was probably the so far the pinnacle of kind of my toy career for certain. And it came, so I'll tell you a story. So yes. I'm not claiming that HasLab came out of like I invented HasLab or whatever, but I remember how the kernel of the idea, the conducting, the first baton wave, let's say that, of HasLab was like myself and Joe Ninavaji, who I was working with on Star Wars, and we were in his office, and I remember sitting around his stupidly small table. He's got this round table, it's really small, and we were having lunch, and we were just talking about large vehicles, and we'd just probably done the Black Series tie from Force Awakens, which was like a big thing, huge, and it's a huge box, so it's like really difficult to put on retail, and they bring it down to closeouts and stuff like that. And we're like, how do we do big vehicles going forward? Like, how do we do it? And the barge was always an urban myth. It's a running joke. When I joined the team, Mark Boudreau, who's been on every single film from 1977, has worked on done everything. We were like, oh yeah, it's like the barge is this sort of mythical thing of like, we'll never do it. It's too big. We can never afford it, and it's just the fans want it, but they know they'll never get it because they all love the aliens, they all love Jabba's palace. They want to put it all on, and we'll never do it, and we're useless. And like, how do we do it? So I remember sitting there, and we were just like, how would we do the barge? And we were like, okay, well, what would it be? We usually work to kind of about 70 to 73% scale. real scale, so the AT-AT, none of our toys are to scale, not even the BMF, but it's around 75%. We say it's probably about 4 foot something. There are areas we don't know about it. We've got to fill it up with stuff, and like, well, he's a greedy slug, right? So we'll do a kitchen, like a galley, and there's obviously got to be prisoners, and and we were starting just going, what would it be? And then we were like, we brought Mark in, and we're like, okay, what? And we started designing it, and we were like, hang on a minute, why are we designing it? Like, this isn't going anywhere. And then we said, well, how much would it be? And I think Mark probably was like, about $500. And I was like, that's a lot. We couldn't put that on the shelf like that. Like, who's going to stop that? And then probably Joe or someone was like, well, we could just crowdfund it. Why don't we do that? And we were like, what? Crowdfund it? I was like, oh, wait, people back it and they promise it. And then if it's enough, it pays for the tooling and all that. Yeah. And I was like, could we do that? I don't know. So we went and spoke to someone else and were like, we want to do crowdfunding. And they looked at us as if we were idiots. And they're like, what? Well, like that, like people that just make their own stuff do. And I was like, yeah, because it takes the risk out of making something. It puts the product into the fans' hands, and we know if enough people want it. And if enough people want it, then it gets made. Because what we don't want to do is make it, no one want it, or we make it and it gets put to close out, because then nothing then gets made after that, because it's like it's a failure kind of thing. So we were like, okay, big risk. And then we just took it and we pitched it, and it was like, yeah, okay, give it a go, why not? And then the difficult stuff happened, where it's like, okay, what platform is it on, what's the back end, what are the legalities, how do we pick, that's the real work. But it was just born out of like a what if we could. So and it succeeded. The trajectory of it was on point to all kind of crowdfunding, where it's like big spike, goes down, plateaus, disappears, and poof, right at the end comes up. And it was probably the best thing I've ever worked on, because it was new, it was exciting. I didn't know whether it was going to work, which is kind of sadistically kind of interesting. Everyone out there, I know your Facebook group was born out of that. Did posters, I've got patches that people make, back the barge and like pushing. It was just like a perfect community story where you didn't know whether it's going to work. You didn't, like, the best movies are the ones where you don't know whether the hero's going to survive or not. And that was the barge, where it was just perfectly written. You couldn't write it any better, where it's like, oh my God, they're not going to make it. And they did. So yeah, if you can't tell, the barge is probably my most enjoyable moment and satisfying and proudest moment of my toy conducting career to date.
I mean, I think it's a great point there. The whole journey was so exciting and nail biting at times, and the reveal of Yak Face, and I mean, obviously he was going to be coming down the line as well, and Klaatu, and the power of the Force card. Yeah, I mean, everything was just so exciting about it. And you're probably sitting there now thinking, man, we kind of set the foundation for HasLab in some ways, and made a viable platform, because I think maybe at the time people weren't sure what it was. Is it a Kickstarter? Is it not a Kickstarter? What are we going to get here? I'm not sure what it's going to be. And then when people got it, they were even more, I think, blown away. And now it's like, if you did the barge today, how many backers would you get? I mean, I think you'd get more than 8810 or whatever it was originally. I
don't know how much it would cost, though. That's the thing. Like today, like even in so many years, the costs have gone crazy. But yeah, but no, it was
right. Everything cost has gone crazy.
It's a great story, and like it's interesting because like the name, I'll give you a little. The name HasLab came from when I came over here from England in 2010. I joined a group in Hasbro called HasLab, which was us. It was like a little group of kind of storytellers that helped people take our brands like Transformers and My Little Pony or Tonka and imagine it as different products or TV shows and things. And we were called HasLab. And as we were trying to come up with this name for this thing, we were like, what do we call it? And we had all these different names. And I think I probably went, just call it HasLab, like, because we're just experimenting with it. It's just like we're just building stuff and we're seeing if it works. And they were like, HasLab. But that was that department you worked in. I was like, who cares? Doesn't matter. Just call it. And I think it was just like, just call it. Yeah, HasLab's fine. And but we had HasLab and then we had HasCon. So this whole kind of prefix of has something, you know, kind of works. So actually, I've got a thing. Yeah, I got to just to prove it, because this obviously isn't the HasLab logo. I don't know whether you can see that. When I came over from England, we had this little thing that put on our desk for HasLab. So that was the original HasLab logo. Nothing to do with crowdfunding, but it's a cool name. So
yeah, man, that's brilliant. It's like the laboratory, where experiments could come to life if they're proven.
Yeah, but it's a good format. And it's changing, it's evolving. So everything evolves and changes. But I like it that it gives us the opportunity to do those kind of crazy things that would be difficult to do at traditional retail. And we live in a world where traditional retail is changing every second. So it's cool.
Absolutely. I've picked Chris and Patrick's brains at a couple Q&As, begging for a figure, like a dream pack of figures for a HasLab. So, you know, and Patrick's always very honest, saying it's ever evolving, and it's, you know, something we've thought about, and, you know, hopefully, if, you know, I think he's always said if things could work out right, it could be something we could do down the line. So, you know, that's always something interesting. And obviously, you know, the Barge and the Razor Crest were all new vehicles, something very new and exciting. And I think that adds that element that we're getting something just brand new and very creative. So hats off to you guys. I'm loving it. I've backed a couple other things as well, like a proton pack.
Cool.
My daughter that's into Star Wars, she must be just what's the word I'm looking for? She's like a child of the 80s. She's she loves Ghostbusters as well. So we got kind of into that as well. So
that's cool.
Pretty
That's cool.
exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad that like a kind of role play item. I know it's not a role play item; it's an artifact, you know. But that got back. So I like the idea there are different things that are starting to come.
Yeah,
to be that it's not just that. Doesn't that just have to be a big thing? It could be because that wasn't the plan. It wasn't always about like sort of big things. It was about unusual things or left field or kind of weird things that you wouldn't expect.
right.
And you dream about. So there'll always be big things, but I like that it's, you know, that proton pack particularly kind of opened the door to like, oh, okay.
Yeah, some kind of cosplay kind of.
So you'll see some more. I'm sure you'll see some more HasLab stuff coming through that'll be different.
Yeah. Why don't we can look at a couple questions here and see if you can answer them, or answer it in a certain way if it can't be.
Yeah, I know.
So Nick's asking, you know, how, you know, basically LFL have any issues or input on the Barge. So I mean, obviously you guys work pretty close with LFL.
Yeah, hand in hand. It was hand in hand, particularly on you know, we had to invent areas of the Barge that weren't seen. So like, you know, Mark Boudreau is a master at just inventing areas and details and things. So we were working with LFL on like, what is the Barge that we don't know? You know, what does the galley look like? So yeah, we were lockstep, and for them it's very exciting because they probably never thought we were going to do a Barge. So when like we came to them with like, hey, we want to do this, they were like, that's great, wow, let's do it. And so it's fun, you know. As I said, we're making toys, so it's like designing the interior of a Barge that we never saw was cool. So it's like, what's the cockpit look like? What would the dungeon look like? Who would be in the dungeon? Let's put the Thorian in the dungeon. That'll be cool. That'll get people talking. So yeah, we always worked, and I know the team still work closely with LFL. So yeah, you know, with our Disney partners, LFL and Marvel, we're like on the phone constantly. So it is one big team. It's not just a matter of approvals and stuff. We bounce ideas around all the time.
Yeah. Well, what about some of the lessons learned from the Barge and crowdfunding toys? I know there was a lot of, you know, trying to navigate getting this in the hands of many people as possible and trying to get that probably to be more effective in the future.
Yeah,
Seems like that happened.
From the barge specifically, I think, you know, we understood about tiers a little bit more and unlocks and how that works and how that's changing and how, you know, that's part of the offering. You know, we understood about the trajectory of how that works, and you know, people go quickly and bid and back quickly and then die away, and then the FOMO at the end, fear of missing out. It's like, oh, we better get it. We understood that people are sometimes buying it to sell on. You know, they can see the secondary prices. We understood, like, you know, how, you know, we need to kind of push it to different countries and like unlock different ways for different territories to get it, you know, because I know everyone's like, well, you should ship worldwide, and it's easy to say, but it is really difficult to do, believe it or not. And so, yeah, there's lessons being learned all the time, like every day. But I think the barge was about Yak Face really, well, oh, tiers. Oh, that's kind of cool. We should do those a bit more. And just knowing that it's okay for it to lull, because it will kind of go back up. So, yeah. And Yak Face was brilliant. I love that. It's my favorite. It's probably my favorite TVC, I think.
Yeah, I got to say, man, when soft goods and, you know, hard goods, however you want to call it, mesh together perfectly, it really, I mean, brings you back to that nostalgia of the Kenner line, but in this, you know, art imitating life and just nailing the sculpt.
Yeah, he's cool. So Yak Face was the figure that was. So my Yak was the first. My old Kenner Yak, last 17, was, you know, I started collecting again in like when I was 16. So it's 89. So I used to go around the car boot sales and start picking up my Baradas for 10p. And I got a load. And as I was getting to sort of like 91, I think Steve Sonsweet's From Concept to Screen to Collectible book. I'm just keep getting up and down. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, please.
You know, this came out. This book came out, I think 92, I want to say. Was it 92? I'm sure it was, because I was just going to college. Yeah, 92. And I got this. So I had some figures. I found this book, I don't know where. And I was looking at it going, oh, yeah, I remember all this. This is so cool. And I remember there was, down here, it's a little picture. And I was like, who's that? I was like, what? That's not a Star Wars figure. And I was like, it's this guy, he doesn't know anything. Like, what's that figure? And then I started, like, you know, bearing in mind, this sounds really bad, like the internet really wasn't around in the UK that much in 92. So I was asking people about, you know, what's this Yak Face? And they go, oh, it's only came out in UK and Canada, and it's super rare and it's really expensive. And so this was the figure that made me realize that this was a way deeper rabbit hole than just buying toys that you remembered for your kid. I was like, oh, there are different types. And then it was like, is it Hong Kong, made in Hong Kong, made in China, Taiwan, and different variants, and the blue snaggletooth and the red snaggletooth. But this was the one where I was like, okay, I'm in. I bought this. I paid £90 for that in like probably 93 or something, which is a lot of money. And that was my first serious purchase. All the others I got for like 10p and nothing. But this was the one that threw me down the rabbit hole in like understanding the community and like finding people that knew stuff. Like we would go and travel to Clacton upon Sea and go to like a little Comic-Con. It was like 5 tables in a pub, and there'd be like 20 people, and you just chat and find out what they had, and they would show you their stuff, and it was cool. It was raw. But so Yak Face is very important. So when we did the barge, I knew what figure we had to do with it.
And it's always
Yak.
The weird, the alien, the weird, that's Star Wars to so many of us, right? There's all these interesting creatures. And what a lot of us love that are serious TVC collectors or 3.75 modern collectors is the level of articulation that you guys added to him. You know, everything from his and forgive me if I'm saying the joint wrong, to his hinge wrist,
to
his the thigh swivel, to all of that, his the articulation in his head and his neck. For us, it's always a debate. You know, how much articulation do you put to a character that might not be a primary character? And I think it's great that you guys kind of made a standard at some point to say, you know, you should have articulation that's, worthy of any figure we make.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
So he was a good one. I thought you were going to kiss him there. You were going to kiss him.
I mean, any insights into when you guys put these guys together and when you were designing them?
I just remember, we knew because the barge was, I can't even remember exactly where it was. So I knew we wanted to do Yak, and I knew that if it was going to succeed, we wanted to do associated figures because it just makes sense, right? You kind of release the barge. People have put a lot of money against it. They've already got a lot of figures they can put on it, but what are the ones that they haven't or haven't had it recently, but also, it's a halo. We call it a halo effect. So it's like the barge. So we planned those out and, repacking the box in a box. I can't remember the 3 that were in it. The 3 figures that are in that box. That was one of my things, box in a box I was like, I want a box with boxes inside so they don't get crushed. It's
that's right.
Pack them out. And
that was one of your ideas. That's right.
And the skiff and let's do a skiff. Let's redo the skiff. I always remember Mark going on about this bloody skiff. He was like, he's been saying, I want to redo the skiff. It's not long enough. It was wrong. It was it needs to be 16 inches. I need to be able to do this. And I want to open and show the engines and things. And we're like, all right, Mark, calm down. All right, it's all right. We'll get it. If the barge gets back, we'll do the skiff. So, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. I mean, again, those 40 minutes are just so fantastic in Star Wars, and a lot of us just love Return of the Jedi as that, right, the most toyetic of the movies, and those first 40 minutes and how exciting they were to see Luke as a Jedi and in his full force at that point. And then you're right, the skiff was just such a great surprise afterwards. And obviously it had to go with your barges. So you guys,
and some of the people out there are doing incredible dioramas. I know you put something out on Facebook saying, hey, show us your barge, and half of them were with the skiffs. They bought 2. Hey? So that was great. So and some of them are incredible. Yeah, mine's boring as hell. It just sits up there with some lights.
I know. I need to do a whole better setup for a lot of my diorama type work that I eventually want to.
But when people make their own display cabinets and things from hand, from scratch.
Yeah. What about people that just put it in a Lotus?
They got a Lotus, but they only bought 1. You could have bought at least 12. That's cool.
I'm gonna ask Pagano there how many he has if there's just 1 sitting in a Lotus. But yeah, like you're saying here, right? With the sand and
that's only 1 bit. They've got the Hoth down there as well, so it's just insane. Oh, what's that one with the Rebel sign? I want that one.
Yeah, this wooden Rebel sign's beautiful.
That's cool. It's wicked.
Yeah.
So the barge is the barge is a perfect large vehicle because it is a doll's house, for want of a better word. You can put people in it, you can deck it out, and it fits on a shelf. You look at it, you go, oh my God, that's huge.
Right.
But it's not. It's 17 inches deep, I think. No, 17 inches high and probably about 13 deep. So it's perfect for a shelf. So it's doable, it's usable. We've played around with, without telling you too much, we've played around with other things that are big things. And you kind of go, that would be cool. And when you actually build them, because we often build them out of cardboard to kind of test it out, you go, you couldn't put it anywhere. It's the volume of it is crazy. Even if it doesn't fill, it might have lots of negative spaces, but it just can't fill. You couldn't do anything with it. So
yeah, that's a great point. It's very shelf worthy, and
it's tricky. That worked well.
Speaking of paints, Utah Don, he's a big customizer. He's got his kind of inspiration. He mentioned right above his whole little workshop there.
It's going to be my setup. You inspire me to be like that next year.
This one here, he's got all his vintage Kenner in it, right? So you can put.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like it with the vintage stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I
think when I get my Razor Crest in, I'm going to put my Kenner retro Mando stuff with it instead of the sort of super articulated. And that kind of brings up, obviously you're doing a lot of work right now with Marvel Retro. And it's cool. I'm a sucker for retro. It's just I don't know. It's just I don't know. And it's a trend. It's a global trend. It's not just me going, we should do retro figures. Do it because I like it. It's a massive trend. It's a huge trend, especially in today's world where it's scary out there. I'm going to be honest with you. There are things going on, whether it's health, political, whatever, where it's like people naturally go back to what they feel comfortable with. So the retro trend is a huge macro trend. So it's global.
Yeah.
And so people are just going, oh, it reminds me of a seemingly safer time. So it's everywhere.
Yeah, what's cool about the Marvel part of it is if there was a retro line, this is what it would look like, right? So it's kind of a whole new flavor. It's not just replicating something that was already there.
Yeah. So that was a big test. It was like, it's kind of not something that people remember, but they kind of do. So it's cool. I like that. I like that line. It's cool.
Yeah, very cool. Just a couple more photos here with some sand and a Sarlacc. It'd be great if we could get another Sarlacc pit, and maybe one that we can destroy as well. Apparently, like
it would be cool. Yeah, you could put little squibs in it to fly it out. That's cool.
That looks like a custom one there. I know some people took the one from I think the Legacy collection and plopped it in. Here's another pretty good Dio. So it's really cool what people are doing with real sand and different setups that they're doing to be able to really mimic that scene from Return of the Jedi.
It's cool.
Great. So let me let's just. I don't want to take too much of your time. Definitely want to go through a few. I'm sure we got a lot of questions, a lot of comments here. Let me look through these really quick as we.
I try and avoid looking to the right because it's kind of like off-putting. Clark Hamilton III. He was late. It's all right, we forgive you.
Oh yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I recall a giveaway you had done a couple years back to Clark, right?
Now you've got me. What was that for? What was that?
Your Yak Face, I think you gave away to Clark.
Did I? Oh, yeah. Oh yes, Clark. I'm sure I did.
Yeah. You're giving too much stuff away.
Yeah.
How dare you?
That's true.
That's actually probably a good segment.
See, Clark, that was a perfect segue. I had no idea, but brilliant. I apologize if I did send it to you and I don't remember your name. Maybe it was a handle name. I remember. I apologize.
Yeah, but I know, Steve. I think one thing that's been great that not only are you active in the community and all the great things you post about the positivity, what it means to be a collector to you, but a huge part of that is giving back. And I just want to say it's pretty infectious. And
it has, and that's a great thing when the people pass it on, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. Like we had a giveaway for the holiday Toy Tales thing, and it costs a lot to ship stuff around. And there was one guy out in Australia, and he was like, I said, it's like $100 for me to send it to you. It's like a tiny little thing. He's like, give it to someone else. Give it to another young collector. So we ended up giving. It was Captain Carter. We ended up giving it to a young girl. She was just starting out collecting. So it's just it's good. Like with all the weirdness in the world and the badness that you perceive, there's more good, in that, which I like. So giving. And when you say giving back, I get it. I understand what it means, but it's like it's swapping for me. Like I get so much out of it. I get a career out of it. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's good.
And I try and target, particularly this last few months, like try and target the young collectors, like encourage those people, because I look back at this stuff, and all this stuff has meaning for me, and I have little stories about it, and I'm desperate for young collectors to in 30 years time look back at their stuff and still feel as strong as we do about that stuff. So if we can make stories for them, so giveaways, like I won a Galactus, boom, there's no way I can afford a Galactus, bang, and like I'm hoping in 30 years they'll look back and remember that and remember the fondness and show that this community is really supportive and really positive and giving, because we're all getting older. We're all getting older. We need a young generation to come up, because I want to be sitting on my commode when I'm 85 and still have Star Wars stories and still have Marvel stories to be told. And that'll only happen if it's kept in the zeitgeist, if the brands are kept in socially resonate. So, and you need to do that. So I think it's really important. So that's where I'm on Marvel at the moment. I love that I cover preschool, kid, and collector, and I'm seeing the journey, and I'm trying to do more about emphasizing that journey in the next year, which I can't really talk much about, but like I'm aware that there's, you get preschool, and then they get into kids, and then they get into teenagers. They tend to drop away. They go to sports, it's love life and all this kind of stuff. But there are some that span the bridge. So I'm like trying to work out, how do we span that bridge a bit more? How do we show youngsters that collecting's cool?
Yeah,
collecting's cool. You don't have to be that quintessential 40-something bloke in his mum's basement kind of thing. You can be. That's great, and there's lots of them. But it's like you can be anyone. So anyway, I'm rabbiting on.
I think Marvel and the movies, and I mean now obviously some of the Disney Plus Star Wars stuff is making people realize that this stuff is like we were talking about before we came on. It's kind of becoming mainstream again, and it's not as most people you meet now are like, oh yeah, I have, I've got Captain America's shield at my house. I think it's cool. Whether it's a prop or a toy or something, everyone's got something, and at times it's to share with their kids as well. So
it's there are lots of casual fans. There are lots of it's like social currency. It's like I've got this thing. I like Captain America. So I've got a shield, and it's like I kind of love that. And it's like, how do we play on that and kind of say, well, there's more. Do you like Captain America? Like, how do we tell stories? And Marvel and Disney generally are brilliant at telling those stories and expanding it out. But like, I want casual fans to become kind of hardcore fans, so that like they keep that alive. So that's why I give back to youngsters in particular. I want to give them stories to encourage them to be part of this community. And there are lots out there that are a part of it. And I thank everyone out there who helps them be a part of it, and all the people that pay it forward and give back and give advice. And we can't be protective of our love, our brands, our stories. Like, you got to share it, otherwise what's the point? So
and I gotta say, it has been very infectious. We have just in our community on the Vintage Collection Facebook group, we have people that just send people a figure that they're looking for it, they can't find it. Hey, PM me your address, I'll send you one. And
brilliant.
Then you see kind of it paying forward throughout a lot of this. I know Clark, after you did that generous thing for him, he sent some figures out to a few different people, and it just creates a lot of positivity. So again, thank you for that. I think you've given away like 3 barges, right? 2 or 3.
3, 3,
man. That's
it's wow.
It's amazing, dude.
It's I don't know.
You don't have to say anything, and I think one of them had.
It's an honor to. It's an honor to.
It's like, but it's for me. It's, I think, something you also show your kids and your family as well, right? I'm showing my kids. We're going to Toys to Tots. We're donating toys. We're doing the big the great big holiday giveaway, doing all that stuff. I participated with you, and then we do it with the page. I've done it where we got a new collector that's joined, and I send them a little message just to say, hey,
that's great.
We're going to send you a little package. And anyway, I think it's a great thing that you're doing, man, and just so many positive things. And sometimes people might just dwell too much on the negative. Like, for example, not to keep blabbing, but why do we have a kids line? Why do we have a mission line, or this or that? We should be focusing on
for everybody. That's why.
Delicate
balance. It's like the planet. It's like the world. It's like life. It's a delicate balance. All has to work together. So I get it.
Right.
We're all intrinsically selfish, as animals. It's like self-protection stuff. But it's like Yeah, we do these things for a reason. It's got to be, you gotta. Someone said to me many years ago, as I was kind of going through my career, and she said to me, she goes, "Give it away. You'll realize there'll come a day when you will realize that giving it away is what will make you the most fulfilled." And I was, as a cocky kind of designer that had just moved over from England because I was so brilliant to come to America, I was like, yeah, well, whatever. And I think I'm getting grown up enough to kind of realize what that means. And there's literal giving away, and then there's, allowing people to discover, to take ownership of things, and whether that's leadership, working with a team, or making your kids grow up. My kids are teenage, so it's like you show them. And I did stuff with Boy Scouts, and it's like it's called the edge education, where you show them, demonstrate it, guide them, then you leave them be. So giving it away is my kind of like new little mantra, where it's just like, I want to not be needed. That's my game. That's my aim, whether it's a father or whether it's an employee. It's like I kind of want I want to be the guy that gets things done, not the guy that does it. So you have to kind of give it away. That's my very philosophical pitch. But it's,
love it, dude. Yeah,
so
man.
keep giving it away. Like, it's yours. You've earned everything you have. This community, all your toys, you've earned it, and you deserve it. Just give some of it away. Give some of it, so you spread it about a bit, and you'll get it back in ways you probably couldn't imagine.
Yeah,
So,
definitely see that for sure. It's funny to people say, yeah, I think one of the giveaways I was a part of. So yeah, Steve, I mean, dude, again, thank you for your time. I don't want to take too much of it. I know we talked about the social media aspect of it. I know that was kind of another topic as well. And I know you said you're looking into doing the customizing in the future.
Yeah.
I know you do a really cool grid series. You do a lot of just really creative things on Instagram, and half the time I'm like, how does he do this? I need to
It's
Steve on how
it's not difficult. It's just a bit of photoshopping and cropping. That's all it is. But the whole social media stuff is a breath of fresh air. It absolutely is a breath. And I think we mentioned where it's like it binding us all together as a community, and you can share and see and comment, and so it's I am a very strong advocate of social media, and the difference between talking at, I'll call them fans, or consumers, customers, or community. Talking, you don't ever want to talk at. I hate that. Even talking to. I like talking with, and I'm trying to kind of do something about that in maybe a more official sense, going forward. But
that's a great point.
Like it's so important, and it's so helpful, because the feedback I personally get on Marvel stuff as I'm working is brilliant. It's just brilliant, and I've said this before, and probably people heard me say it, like, give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I get feedback, good, bad, the ugly. The good is like, hey, well done, that's fantastic. And I go, that's great, thank you. I put that over there because great. You don't learn anything from being great. The bad, which is like, you screwed this up, that needs work. What about this? What about that's the stuff you need to keep in front of you and work on it and try and work it out. And I've had stuff come in from social media that made differences. Like, I'm running changes on things that's directly from people saying, oh, have you seen this? And then the ugly. Social media, unfortunately, you get people that are just out there to kind of troll around, and like they're there. And if you're not willing to acknowledge that they're there, then it's kind of false. But like, you kind of let that bounce off you, and you sometimes you respond. You should never react, but it's you just do that it's there, and that's part of it. Like, not everyone's got to be, hey, well done, Steve. That's and they shouldn't be. That's just the way it is. So the social media is a delicate thing, and you've got to have the right attitude to it. But it can be a really useful and meaningful tool, I find. So plus, it's always just good just to gabber with people and just see what's going on. It's wicked. It's just good fun.
Yeah, it must be just amazing. Obviously, from a working in the pop culture and collectible and toy industry, just the breadth of ideas and creativity and things that you guys see that you might not have seen on a website, deep in a forum, in a thread. You know, that the social media kind of, while it's saturated, I think in you can control those inputs and outputs coming into you, and at least I'm sure it's just giving you guys so many outlets of creativity that you didn't think.
Inspiration and insight is probably the biggest two. You know, like there's been occasions where, you know, I'll put up questions like, what do you think of this? What's your favorite something or other? And it's not, as long as it's not giving away any secrets, you know, it's just getting insights. It's like a built-in little kind of focus group, which kind of, you know, sometimes we'll ask those questions, not very often, but the audience is there. It's like, why just ask them? So I think I kind of love to work out how to do that a little bit more. So insight and inspiration is definitely Instagram, insight and inspiration. There you go, the 3 I's. Yeah, but I'm on Instagram, so you know, I know there's Facebook and Twitter and everything else. But it's cool. So keep talking, keep showing off your stuff, keep giving things away, keep sharing, keep challenging, keep giving feedback. Just keep talking. At the end of the day, that's all we can do. And you know, I certainly promise to keep listening. And you know, listening is not just hearing. Is that the right way around? Or is hearing not just listening? You know, it's like to listen, you got to hear.
Yeah, you're right.
You got to acknowledge, and then you got to kind of respond in some way. Otherwise, so that's why social media is great, because I can see something, go, oh, what's about this? Oh, that's great. So it's proper conversation.
Yeah. Oh, right on, man. And hey, man, we'll be with you till you're 85 plus.
Sitting on my commode.
Plus.
Saying, why isn't there no Star Wars stories anymore?
Well, awesome, Steve. Hey, thanks again for just spending some time with us, sharing your passion, sharing your insights, just everything you do from a social perspective, from a community perspective. And as you mentioned, I mean, for a lot of us, it's a complete joy to be able to interact with some of you guys, for you guys to hear us, listen to us, like you were saying, and just engage with us too. And as you know, for me personally, you know, I was a very closet collector before, and didn't really you know, engage in community. And you know, the Barge really opened up a community I never thought, and a bunch of friendships, and doing this. So
yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant, and that's worth it.
You know, so I really appreciate it, and you know, I hope we can do this again virtually. You know, obviously, people again just love to interact with you. So thank you for just taking that leap of faith socially and doing these things. It can't be easy all the time.
Oh, that's brilliant. John, thank you so much for organizing this and kind of everything you do, and for participating in the great big holiday giveaway. I appreciate it, and your leadership on that as well, particularly. So yeah, we'll do this again. I'll do it virtually, and I look forward to doing it personally, considering you're only really down the road. So
right, my friend.
Yeah, we'll do that again. All right.
Cool, man. Well, hang on, and we'll end the broadcast. Thank you all for joining us. Go make sure you watch Book of Boba Fett 8 times, at least.
You got it.
And hey, may the force be with you all. And thanks for attending.
And you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.